Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salam alaikum. It's wonderful to see everybody here tonight. And it is definitely a momentous occasion for all of us. As Joy said, we are celebrating the work of the Muslim Public Affairs Council, and we're celebrating America in honoring and electing two Muslims in elected office, Ghazala Hashmi, and Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, and what I believe is a generational leader, Zohran Mamdani, for the city of New York. And New York has something up on Los Angeles now, so we have work to do here. I want to talk about a very important theme that runs throughout the Quran, and that theme is succession, the passing of one stage into another. It's not just a rhythm of nature, it's a rhythm of history. And no, I'm not talking about the HBO series Succession, but the divine succession of time and opportunity, where each generation inherits a mission to make tomorrow better than today. The Quran says, "Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and in the succession of night and day, there are signs for those who reflect." The Quran also calls for stewardship, the moral duty to build upon what came before us. And that is what MPAC has been doing since its founding, building an effective American Muslim constituency to influence public policy and public opinion, as well as securing the future of Islam in America, ensuring that the next generation of Muslims does not merely inherit fear and reaction, but purpose and leadership. From day one, MPAC has focused on building institutions and developing leaders who will define our place in American public life. Through the Young Leaders Summit, our Congressional Leadership Development Program, and our Hollywood Bureau, we have created a living network, a pipeline of American Muslim voices in public policy, government, and entertainment media. It is that pipeline from community to Washington, D.C. and Hollywood. These programs are not about representation for its own sake. They are about shaping decision-making and public opinion. They ensure that our community is not reacting to fear and division, but rather defining its contribution to America's moral and civic future. Because we are not guests in this country, we are stakeholders like every other American. Contrary to political punditry, American Muslims are not on the margins of society. We are among its architects, its stewards, and its builders. The MPAC vision states it clearly that America recognizes the vital contributions of American Muslims. In other words, we are not outsiders perfecting our community, we are insiders helping perfect this imperfect union. We do this by drawing the shared values that are in our faith and in our nation's founding ideals, like liberty, equality, and justice. MPAC ensures that reactionary fear does not define the Muslims who are in this country. Instead, we are enriching American culture through proactive engagement and service for the common good. Our faith teaches it, our Constitution enshrines it, and MPAC lives it. Now, there are many challenges facing us today, and I'll give you one example. There's a U.S. senator who went on the Senate floor and gave a presentation, and it says, "We need to ban Sharia law." This was done by the senator from Alabama, Tommy Tuberville, who is also a former football coach for the Auburn Tigers. Thank you, Sheikh Tommy. I don't think he knows anything about Islam, and in fact, I don't think he knows anything about American civics. He is the one person who, when he ran for U.S. Senate, was asked about the three branches of government, and he called them the House, the Senate, and the Executive. I'm sure he got his talking points from some anti-Muslim group spouting propaganda. when in fact Sharia simply means the road to God, and there are many roads to God, and part of the Sharia is to establish the rule of law, and as the Constitution says, establish justice. If he does not like what's happening overseas, and we don't like them either, involving child marriages or sexual violence or harassment, discrimination, and even violence against religious minorities, we condemn them, but he should tell our president, and he should lobby the United States president to stop taking trillions of dollars from Muslim-majority countries that actually sponsor this ideology and support this ideology. But more importantly, this tactic of Tommy Tuberville does not work anymore. It's a new political era, a succession from night and day. And to sustain justice, we must also confront the dangers that threaten America's moral future, namely war, the war lobbies, and the war media. They stand against the greatest that America can offer, and they stand the greatest in terms of danger. As Dr. Martin Luther King warned us in his prophetic message, Americans are forcing even their friends into becoming their enemies. They calculate military victory, but do not realize that they are incurring deep psychological and political defeat. That warning is important now, ever than before. For decades, America's endless wars in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East, and now genocide and extermination sponsored and supported and financially made possible by the United States government in Gaza, they have not secured peace. They've only fueled hatred, racism, and moral fatigue. We have seen how war dehumanizes people and demonizes faiths, ours included. And as Tupac once said, with painful clarity, they got money for war, but can't feed the poor. And history teaches that war, not peace. And history teaches that war, not peace, is what ends society. That is why MPAC calls for peace grounded in international law and diplomacy, not as a weakness, but as a strength. True victory comes not from domination, but from delivering justice. It requires moral courage, the courage to say, enough destruction, enough silence. This begins by defending those who raise their voices so that America, along with its military power, becomes a moral power. And those are the voices in particular that are more important than anyone else these days. They are the students and educators on our college campuses who have spoken out for justice. Freedom of speech, assembly, and dissent are not threats to our nation. They are the lifeblood of freedom. Silencing debate is the first door to tyranny. Thomas Jefferson once wrote, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance." That is MPAC's role, to be a part of America's civil society, vigilant, principled, and unwavering, a moral compass for our government and our culture. Because if words like freedom, equality, and justice remain only etched on our monuments, then they are empty. We must engrave them instead into the policies and institutions that govern real lives. The United States today needs spiritual cleansing and moral clarity to fortify its conscience, and we see hope in that renewal, such as Gala Hashmi, as we mentioned before, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, the first American Muslim woman now who won a position in state government. And what's really interesting about Zahran Mamdani is that 70% of voters under the age of 30 voted for him. So it's a new time. It's a new era. It is a succession. And we must recognize that there is a new American electorate. And the AIPAC scares of the past do not work anymore. They can throw billions and billions of dollars, get their billionaire friends to attack candidates like Zahran, and it will fail. And what is also important is what we saw in the Vietnam War, The protest movement then transferred their energy and their efforts onto the political arena, and leaders of the anti-Vietnam War protests became leaders of American government in our Congress, in our cities, in our states. And the same thing is happening today. The pro-Palestinian movement has now entered the phase of electoral politics. The politics of division is waning, and the politics of pluralism is dawning. MPAC's goal is to build an effective American Muslim constituency that influences public policy and public opinion. We aim to change one major policy that only threatens our freedoms. Not only threatens our freedoms, but the security of our country as well. National security policy that promotes war and makes us less secure. People are intimidated by the term national security because the government makes you think they're the only ones who can talk about national security. We're not equipped to discuss it. That is false. They used and invoked the internment of Japanese Americans and said it was done in the name of national security. And when the executive branch went to the Supreme Court justifying this internment in the famous Korematsu case, they won because they said they had to do it in the name of national security. We went to war in Iraq because our government lied about weapons of mass destruction and Iraq's connection to 9/11 in the name of national security. If you oppose war out of your patriotic duty to save American lives and lives of Iraqis and Palestinians, lives of people in general, if you oppose war out of your patriotic duty, you are accused of sympathizing with terrorism. And yet, if you become a cheerleader for war, you are a national security and foreign policy expert. National security policy singles out Muslim extremism as the only threat to the interests of the United States. Not Hindu extremism that killed a dissident in Canada and tried to kill here in California. Not Jewish extremism, which supports genocide and encourages America to finance ethnic cleansing while becoming isolated from the rest of the world. And not white Christian nationalism, even though it has become an international danger from New Zealand to the Tree of Life Synagogue to Norway, all invoking the Great Replacement Conspiracy Theory. We need to change national security policy, not just for our community, but for the future of the United States of America. And we need specialists to walk the halls of Congress and engage the administration on thoughtful approaches to this change while educating the public and raising awareness of this major threat to our collective security. MPAC is designed to meet that challenge, but I ask you, in achieving change, you must hold us accountable to our core competencies. And there are three. The first is professionalism in our engagement with civil society through policy papers, forums, and advocacy for the common good. Second is allyship, which is organic and legitimate in coalition building. We work with groups like the NAACP to demilitarize the UC campuses, and J Street, the counter to AIPAC, and others to oppose the anti-Semitism bill, which conflates anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism, as well as the bill intended to shut down nonprofit organizations. And we will work with Democrats and Republicans, left and right, the left and the right, to restore freedom of speech. Thirdly, our access to U.S. lawmakers will continue to thrive. This year, we're honoring Senator Chris Van Hollen and Congressman Ro Khanna in Washington, D.C. on December 2nd for Empowering Voices. MPAC is building a mechanism to ensure that Muslims are not on the sidelines of history, but fully integrated into the heart of American civic life. This is succession, not of wealth or privilege, but of responsibility, the responsibility to lead. That, in the words of the Declaration of Independence, is our sacred honor. So as the night succeeds day, and one generation gives way to the next, let us be the successors the Quran calls us to be, the generation that turns moral courage into policy, faith into action, and ideals into action. Faith into service and ideals into action. May God guide us to be among those who cooperate in righteousness and virtue, and may America, through the contributions of her Muslim citizenry, find again the moral clarity that once made it a beacon of hope for the world. Thank you very much.